evening, everyone. This is Shadi Abu Yusuf, and I'm starting today a new series. And as you see, the name is Filmo-linguistics. The reason why I called it Filmo-linguistics is because I'm going to focus on linguistic features that appear in some movies and some films. And of course, these features are mostly related to spoken English. So again, we're going to handle a lot of non-standard English, also slang English language, whether we're talking about British English or American English. And we're going to focus on the meaning, pronunciation, form, even etymology of these linguistic items. So I hope you would enjoy this series. And today we'll be talking about the first linguistic feature. So let's see. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about a linguistic item that actually appeared in a movie name, in a film name. So not only inside the movie, but actually in the name of the movie. Let's have a look at this movie first. As you see, you've got here today's movie, which is Ali G, Innit. That's the name of the movie, Innit. So what's in it? Where did it come from? What does it mean? And what's the function of innit in English language? What's the pronunciation of it? And how it developed into the pronunciation we have today. These are items that we're going to discuss in today's episode. So let's have a look first at a text taken from Ali G movie. So let's have a look at this together. And as you see, let's read this together. I'm here to talk about the military. I got with me my main man, Major General Ken Perkins. He's seen a lot of action in Korea, in Malaysia, in World War II. So he knows his stuff and he knows where he's at. Now, the army is important in it. The army is important in it. So what's in it? And what does it do here? And what does the speaker mean by asking this kind of question? Because it looks like a question. There's a question mark. Now let's move to this. So, in it, the meaning. And let's have a look at this example here. He's busy all the time, in it. He's busy all the time, in it. Right? Okay. So, let's say that innit in English language sometimes is used to seek agreement, right? And sometimes it is used to ask questions. What do we mean by this? It depends actually on your intonation. So sometimes your intonation will mean that innit is used to seek agreement, and sometimes your intonation might mean that you're asking a real question. So let's try the first one together. So he's busy all the time, innit? He's busy all the time, innit? So when you say it this way, it means that you're seeking agreement. You're not actually asking. You actually know that he's busy all the time, but you're just trying to get the other person to agree with you or to encourage the other person to actually speak, right? But if it were a real question, or if we want to communicate a message of a real question, so let's listen to the intonation in that scenario, because you would say, he's busy all the time, innit? He's busy all the time, innit? So it will sound like a question in the second scenario. So again, so if we're talking about the meaning of innit in English language, we would say that it is used either to seek agreement or to ask a question. How would you do this? By changing your intonation. Now let's move to another part of meaning. So let's have a look at this example. You wouldn't know where the cafe is, innit? You wouldn't know where the cafe is, innit? Again, this is a request, but it is what we call an indirect request. So again, this is an indirect request, which is a third function of innit. So we talked about seeking agreement, and we talked about asking a real question when you're unsure, And now we're talking about indirect requests. So someone might ask, Shadi, but what is a direct request if this is an indirect request? Let me give you this example. Have a look at this. Where is the cafe, please? That's direct. But look at the previous example. It says, you wouldn't know where the cafe is, in it. You wouldn't know where the cafe is, in it. And we can use in it in a lot of indirect requests, like you can say, you can lend me some money, in it. You can help me with this, in it. You see, right? So again, so that's also a third meaning or a third function of in it. Now from here, let's move to form. And we would say that in it is actually part of slang English. And when we say slang English, we mean by this that we're talking about the spoken form, and we talk about a specific group of people. And in our scenario, the specific group of people is young British people. Some people also say that in it is incorrect. The reason why they say that is because originally it comes from isn't it. So they want people to say isn't it instead of in it. And that's why they say that this is incorrect. And of course, I mean, we cannot use in it when it comes to formal writing. We can keep that to Facebook chatting or WhatsApp, you name it. But of course, not exams, not formal writing. And again, it's also a contracted form because, as we said, it comes from isn't it. And when we look at isn't it, these are two words. So, and these two words have become one, which is in it. And that's why we call it a contracted form. Not only that, but also in it is what we call invariant tag. So in it is an invariant tag. And invariant means never changing. So in it does not change its form as a question tag, which is really weird because question tags do not act like this in English language. Question tags keep changing all the time. How? Like, look at this one. If you say she is tired, then you say isn't she? But if you say she was tired, you say wasn't she? But if you say they were tired, you say weren't they? If you say they can't travel, can they? So again, you change question tags in English according to the different tenses and according to actually the number of persons, but not within it. So in it is used as a replacement for any tag question, irrespective of person, number, and verb. Let's see some examples. So look at this. They're so late. Usually we would say in English language, they're so late, aren't they? But no, you can say, they're so late, innit? Look at this one. You don't do this every day, innit? Again, this is negative. It's you don't do. So supposedly you would say something, you don't do this every day, do you? So we expect a positive question tag, but in it is used again. Now look at this one. You will support him in it instead of won't you. Look at this one. She hated a teacher in it instead of didn't she? And that's why we call it an invariant tag. When we say an invariant tag, it means it doesn't change form. Now, another part of form is that in it is a sentence modifier. What do we mean by a sentence modifier? It modifies the sentences before it because it tells the listener whether the speaker is sure or unsure of what he's just said, depending on intonation. Let's have a look at this example. So you can say something like, she's tired in it. She's tired in it. When you say it this way, you're seeking an agreement from the listener, but you're sure that she's tired. And it means that you modify the meaning of what you've just said, because now the listener knows that you're sure of the information you've just given. Well, let's give it another try. Let's see how we can sound unsure when you say, she's tired, innit? So when you say it this way, it sounds like a real question. It means that you're unsure of what you've just said. And this is why we call it a sentence modifier. Now, let's move to pronunciation and see how innit developed into the form and into the pronunciation we have today. And the whole story started, of course, with isn't it? And the pronunciation is isn't it, as we see here from the phonetic transcription. The whole story started with an elision of the sound t, like in this one. So instead of isn't it, it became isn't it. So the white t is dropped. So it became isn't it. Then it developed into this pronunciation. It is not the t sound only, but now it is the z sound as well. So it became what we know as innit. Nice. Now, what's the etymology of innit? And when we say etymology, we mean where did it come from? How do we have this contracted form now in English language? And a lot of people say that, of course, we say that originally it was isn't it, but again, Asian and Jamaican communities in Britain started pronouncing isn't it as in it. And then British people started copying that, and a lot of linguists say the same. Right, so let's have a look at innit used in 3 different movies. So we started with Ali G. Let's see the coming movies. And the first one is what we call City of Tiny Lights. And let's have a look at the script here. Oh, apparently the mullah knew that Runner was involved in drugs. I even heard the man talking about security video. I'll see if I can find out more in it. I'll see if I can find out more in it. So that's a kind of seeking agreement from the other person. And that's a usage here from the movie City of Tiny Lights. Another movie, which is actually Attack the Block. Let's have a look at this conversation here. So the first speaker said, I saw her ID card thingy. And then B said, she's a nurse, innit? And again, so it could be seek an agreement dependent also on the intonation, and it could be a question, say she's a nurse, innit? Okay, so if you're not sure, if you're sure she's a nurse, innit? So again, intonation would change the meaning. Now let's move to a third script from a third movie. Let's have a look at High Hopes and see how innit was used. And we have a conversation here between 3 people. So first one, where are you from? And then B said, Byfleet. Where is that? Sorry, innit? Is it? So again, now the speaker is trying to seek agreement. Sorry, innit? Right? It's trying to make sure that Byfleet is in Surrey. Okay, so we came to the end of today's episode and we talked about innit today. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and wait for the coming episodes. We'll be talking a lot of other features in Filmo-linguistics. So if you like this video, don't forget to press like and leave a comment, activate notifications and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. See you again. Bye-bye.